You're too kind. You are absolutely too kind. There's a lot more energy now than there was right after lunch. Are you feeling it? Yeah? So are you with me? If you're with me, say you're with me. Let's try it one more time. If you're with me, say you're with me. Yeah. All right. So the breakout sessions were interesting, right, to say the least. If you were in the trust mindset workshop, can you raise your hand? Oh, wow. Okay, good. I got an opportunity to dance in there. We see some dancing in the background. But one of the things that when folks came out of that, I asked, what did you get from this? And what it struck for a few people was it made them sort of question sort of how deeply do they trust, right? And to what extent do they trust folks? So you're probably not going to come out with a straightforward answer of which box you might find yourself in, but knowing that that's actually a place of challenge and a place of struggle, that lets us know that this work will continue. So I want to thank Ed and that team for that. Also, in the recognition, Understanding Certification Nation, folks came out with a very clear understanding of the process, what it takes to be recognized and certified, and that helps all of us, right? So we're all on an even playing field. People understand what it takes to meet the certification and what they can do to bring that back to their organization. And then with the Etsy Crafter Noon, right, folks said that being a part of that experience allowed them to sort of take away those barriers of management and who's a frontline employee, what your contribution is supposed to be, and everyone knows that they're on the same page. And we're trying to just build something, and don't expect that what you build on your V1, your first iteration, is going to be the best thing, right? But just the fact that you've stepped into that place of vulnerability, tried it, and you know that your next iteration will get better is actually a plus, right? So if I tie it all together, to me, it goes back to something that one of our panelists said about being vulnerable. Being in a space where you're not quite certain, but you know that you need to make a move, and not being afraid to make that move, whether it's towards tying your business, your business results to your culture initiatives, right? Or starting a new program that may or may not, you don't know if it's going to land right, or treating people in a different way just to see what's going to happen, right? So I think that what we've learned is you can take baby steps and still finish the race. All right, so we're going to wrap it up today. I have a very, very unique pleasure of introducing our CEO of Great Place to Work, Michael C. Bush. So Michael Bush is the CEO of Great Place to Work, where he's responsible for the growth and the management of our global network's U.S. business. Michael joined Great Place to Work at a time of extreme growth, and it was very rapid. He brings over 30 years of experience in growing consulting organizations and increasing the efficiencies of already innovative teams. Previously, he served as the president of 8 Factors, which is an online learning organization, as well as the CEO of Clark Sustainable Resources Development and the CEO of Tetra Tech Communications, which he grew from $40 million to over $300 million in revenues. Michael received his MS in management from Stanford University, the School of Business. He's an advisor to the board of Intercity Advisors and a founding board member of the private equity fund, Fund Good Jobs. Michael teaches entrepreneurship courses at Stanford University and also at Mills College, and he's a member of President Obama's White House Business Council. So if you would join me in welcoming our CEO, Michael Bush.
Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the first time when somebody said I was on the President's White House Business Council, I was realizing, well, that's coming to an end. And I might be invited on one, but I don't know if I'll be invited on the other. We'll see how it goes. Thanks very much for coming, and we're going to have a good time, and many of us will go forward and have a good time tonight as well. The first thing I wanted to do was basically to get a round of applause for Julian Lute, who's done a great job today. The man's got skills. And also, the Great Place to Work team, could you put 2 hands in the air so people know who you are? And give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. We're just like everybody else. There's nothing that we do in our business where there aren't maybe 10, even 20 people behind the scenes actually making it happen. No one person really gets anything done. It's a bunch of people who get something done, and that's certainly true for us at Great Place to Work. Great Place to Work was founded in 1992. I think these kind of historic numbers, offices in 44 countries, are important just so you know when you work with us, we're not giving you our opinions about anything. We're giving you what we found from data-driven research. It all comes out that survey tool and the work that we do. So we don't offer management opinions. We say something, you can ask us about it, we'll go to the data and show you how we reached that conclusion or how we made that finding. So it's a data-driven company that's been doing this for quite a while. So we've got quite a set of data. And this is our mission. You know, we all have a purpose, we all have strategic plans, we all have values, etc. But as Simon Sinek says, why do you do it? This is why we do it. We actually believe that we can create a better society. We can build a better society by helping organizations transform their workplaces for all, for everybody who's in that workplace, not just some people that are in that workplace, for everybody who's in that workplace. So that's what we're about. People who come to work at Great Place to Work are attracted because of this mission, and I know based on many of you and your scores of your companies, you believe the same thing. It's clearly you believe the same thing. We believe that if workers are having a good experience at work, when they go home, they're better people, and they're better people in their communities too. So we're not asking you to believe it. I just want you to know who you're dealing with. That's actually what we believe. And this is one of my professors from business school who has a similar belief. He was one of the first people to get me thinking about it. You know, he always talked about, so you're going to be good at business, so what? He always talked about more and the role of business. And so it's something that we've certainly adopted at Great Place to Work. Now, because we're business people too, we get it. We just happen to believe that if you treat people great, it's going to be good for your profitability. That's what we believe. We believe that the way to enhance your profitability or your competitive position, including if you're a nonprofit, you have to compete for dollars. The best way to do it is by creating a high-trust culture. And the only way to do that is by having high-trust leadership. So we do think about leadership a lot. We focus on it. And what does it mean to be a great place to work? This is what it means for us. And we've changed the definition over the last year, and it'll be affecting our list going forward, kind of the list starting in 2018. So we're not only measuring the first item, which you all know, which is the relationships that people have with each other and the people that they work for. We're also going to be measuring leadership. There's a new set of questions going in to assess CEO effectiveness. We're going to get feedback on that or not. Some CEOs don't like that part. Well, they better get ready because it's coming. It's coming. We're also going to be looking at financial performance because what we found by looking at the data is we've had companies on our list that go out of business. That's not good for the Great Place to Work brand. We think a Great Place to Work also makes money. We don't see them as being two different things. We see them as being part of the exact same thing. And finally, innovation. We think innovation is important, so there's going to be 16 questions creating an innovation index that's embedded in the survey because we think that's a critical part of being a great place to work. You have to be innovating. And then finally, for all. So we are looking at the difference in the work experience between salaried workers and hourly workers in all levels within the company. So, and all the other demographic dimensions so that we can get some feeling for whether it's truly a great place to work for all. So these are things that are coming that we'll be talking about a lot. And when you do this work and you do it all around the world, sometimes people say, well, I bet things are really different in Bogota, Colombia, Santiago, Chile, and San Francisco, California. Well, they are different, but workers expect the same thing. In that way, we're all the same. They want to work for people that they trust. They want to have pride in the work that they do. That doesn't mean they want to wear the baseball cap and have the coffee mug with the company logo on it. It means when they're cleaning the floor, if that's their job, they're doing it because they are thinking about the other people they work with. And the fact that they have a job to do, They want to do theirs really, really well. That's what pride is. That's what we measure. And people want to enjoy the people that they work with. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, these things are true and just have been proven to be true over and over again. We survey over 10,000 organizations a year, get lots of data, have surveyed over 100 million people. It makes it so our data is highly reliable. Highly reliable. And a lot of people rely on it. And in terms of who people work for, these are the big three. Respect, credibility, and fairness. All the things you know if you've taken the survey or if you looked at the survey data. These are the big three. Some of you have gotten this. Have any of you gotten this badge? There you go. A couple of hands in the air. It's a great badge to get. The importance of getting this badge or being on one of these lists is it helps you get talent. It's a proud moment. It not only helps you get talent, it helps you keep the talent that you have. So these badges of honor help with the most important thing that we do, which is make sure that we're hiring top talent. So part of what we do, certainly to help your business, is we have these lists. We promote these lists. We push these lists through social media. We work with our media partner, Fortune Magazine. The small and medium lists will be in the, where's Kim? The November issue? In the November issue. We'll be in print. So that's our role, to push your business. I've never heard anyone say, Mike, I'm so disappointed you got me 1 million impressions. People are usually pretty happy about what happens when you're in that magazine and get pushed through Time Inc.'s machine. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for your business, and we're just thrilled to do it. So, got some people here who I just want to recognize. Here's a group of people. Any of you work for these great companies? Been on our list, one of our many lists, for 2 years running. Any of these great companies here? There you go. 3 years running. 4 years. Any of these people here? There we go. 5 years running. Any of these great companies here? And then these two companies achieve what we call perfection, which is 10 out of 10 employees said it was indeed a great place to work, and they wanted to work there a long time. It's hard to pay people to do that. It's difficult to do that. There's always somebody who'll take the money and then still won't score you that way. Okay? So it's really awesome when you can do this. So they should be proud of that perfection. And then here's a couple of companies, Global Force. Anybody here from Global Force? Okay. So in the globally great category, and that means you've been on our US list for a year, in Ireland for 4 years, and in Europe for a year, which is great. And here's another one. Anybody here from Atlassian? Okay. You guys don't clap, you just wave or whatever. Okay. Must be a culture thing, you know. We wave, we don't clap. Okay. But great performance here. The US 4 years, Australia 6 years, Asia 2 years, and the Netherlands a year. So that's great performance. And then Intuitive Research and Technology. Anybody here from there? There we go. Okay. Yep. So that's what they do, you know. And that's 6 years running on our small and medium list. Okay, I believe in the medium category. So that's a high bar. Here's another one, 13 years running. PPR, anybody here? There you go. Okay, they clap and holler. You know, 13 years running. So congratulations. Hats off. It's not easy to do. Oops, skip that one. Credit acceptance. Anybody here? Glad I didn't skip it. Okay. So 3 years in running, and this one's really significant because the people at credit acceptance move from the small and medium list to the Fortune 100. So they went to the big leagues. Not easy to do. I think you've heard their story, but it's a remarkable story, and I hope inspirational for everybody here. Then one day you can make that list, which is the highest bar that we have. Now, I chose this graphic because earlier today there was a question asked, what are you worried about? And the answer was growth, overwhelmingly, which I've been in business a long time. I am so happy that that's the number one issue. Because I've been through some cycles, that was not the number one issue. I'm so happy that people are like, oh, we're growing too much. Can you help us? I mean, I'm just like, this is fantastic. And this seems to be true all around the world. as a matter of fact. This is what people are dealing with, which is just a fantastic thing. And it is like riding the tiger. It is like riding the tiger because you're hiring fast. There's more risk that you're taking when you're hiring fast. You want to take your time. You know you should hire slowly, but you need a person. And so it's not easy to do. It's very difficult to do. And just look at this woman. She's super exciting. You know, she's just, look how optimistic she is, looking forward to the future. The only problem with riding the tiger is sooner or later the tiger gets hungry. That's the risk. Things change. Now, it's not like some of you, I felt an odd reaction because I think the transition was a little too fast, faster than I expected. But that's not the woman, okay? That's, at least I don't think it's the woman. I don't know that it's the woman. I'm pretty sure it's not the woman, okay? It's just, I'm just really trying to make a point here, but in case, maybe I'll make the point here. All right? This one's a little bit better. And the point is something that we all know, particularly those who have been doing the game of business for a while, is that business goes through cycles. So while it's hard to create a high trust culture while you're growing fast, it's even harder when you're shrinking. Any of you watch Game of Thrones? Okay, only like 5 crazy people like me. And then the rest are like embarrassed. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to be judged that they watch that crazy show. Well, I watch it. Well, if you watch that show, one of the things they say is winter is coming. Right? Because it always comes in business. And the reason I love this squirrel, this is like my mascot in business, is they're always getting nuts and hiding them because they know winter's coming. They're planning for it. They know what's going to happen. And I'm not saying walk around being, just doomsday. Yeah, but it's going to change. We're growing today, but it's going to collapse tomorrow. I'm just saying we have to be aware of it. And we have to have a culture that can go through the great times and the low times. That's the real challenge of leadership. It's not that hard when everything is great. We'd have companies on our list soar up, and then things changed, and they're not on the list anymore. Here's a pretty smart guy with a statement about trust. Just talks about how you really notice it when it's not there. Don't really think about it that much when it's present. Anybody know who this is? This is John Stump, the CEO and chairman of Wells Fargo Bank. So this is him a couple of years ago, giving the commencement speech at his alma mater in Minnesota. I don't know if this was on his bucket list or not, but I'm glad he got it done already. Because I don't know if he'll be invited based on what's happened at Wells Fargo Bank, which is the world's just falling apart for Wells Fargo Bank. All based on culture, all based on trust. And if you read the information, they saw in the business unit that failed, they had an 80% attrition rate in 6 months. A memo was sent to the top that we might have a problem. No response to the memo. So the metrics were in place. Things were getting measured, but somehow things got off course. And here our friend Warren Buffett did lose $2 billion, actually in a 2-week period. And then this is the next shot we saw of John at the Senate hearing. So probably the worst day, one of the worst days of his life for sure. And people say that when you hug this man, it's like hugging a teddy bear. But I have a feeling when you lose $2 billion of his money, his right hand's like a grizzly bear, okay? Something happens. So, we never want to be this kind of example in somebody's presentation. This is not what we want to aspire to be. So a lot goes on in our model. It's data-driven, a lot of analytics and algorithms. We tie the statements together in ways that you couldn't believe to draw the conclusions that we draw. It's a very complicated process. Been doing it a long time. We're good at it. And sometimes people will ask, what's the most important thing? Well, it goes in trends, but right now it's fairness. Right now it's fairness. If you want to know what to watch, it's fairness. If you're growing fast, it's fairness. If you've got a CEO change coming or happening or it has happened, it's fairness. If you're shrinking or got layoffs, it's fairness. Going through M&A, it's fairness. So this is looking to be a leading indicator of what's to come in terms of deterioration, meaning when fairness starts to drop, credibility then starts to drop. When credibility starts to drop, respect then starts to drop. So sometimes things happen and people say what happened, and you can look at the data and see what happened. I'm trying to pass on this information while you're in a good mood and everything's positive, that you can start to look forward and keep an eye on this dimension, which is about 16 statements worth of analysis on what's going on in your company in terms of fairness. Super, super important. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, grab somebody from Great Place to Work, and they can certainly pass on to you what you need to know about your survey or the survey process, or if you're not doing it yet, why you might want to do it and look at this dimension. What we usually do is look at that data and then we leverage the positive. We believe that change happens through good things. So at every organization, even a low trust organization, we can find some good spots and some high trust leaders. And that's what we build on. It doesn't do us any good to come to your company and talk about a great leader at Google. It doesn't help. We find the great leader at your place, and then because they've been successful within your culture, with your values, and we build on that and find a way to share that information or knowledge with other leaders to help you increase in terms of creating high trust leadership. We look at everything through the lens of high trust. So we say that a leader, which is all of us, and employees, when you're doing your work, when you're tweeting, when you're posting something on Facebook or Snapchat, you are doing one of three things. Probably four things. One might be wasting time. But you are either building trust, eroding trust, or rebuilding trust. Employees, there's nothing benign, including when you walk by them and the way you say hello or you don't. Something happens in every interaction. And we like to talk to leaders about this to be mindful of making sure you're not eroding trust. And because we work with a lot of companies, we see a lot of very interesting things. We see a leadership team decide to change the family leave policy. And they send out a 15-page email full of what you can't do. Changes the whole spirit of this positive moment. So we'll look at it. Somebody clap. So or has that happened? Hopefully you're not about to send the email. Okay? So we look at it and we go, okay, this is great, what you're trying to do, but maybe you can word it this way and not say that. Like, don't start it with thou shalt not. That's not the way to get people fired up about the change. So it's really how you do it that's most important. And we try and highlight for you, what happens in other companies that happen to have a culture similar to yours. But the other question I was asked this morning at breakfast with a few people that are here at the conference is, what's the most important thing you can tell me about the work you do and where the change gets made? My answer was at the top. At the top. Now, it's tricky work because we get called in, we have some data, and we're sitting with senior leaders. And sometimes the problem's in the room. But you don't say that because that's not good for business. All right? It also isn't good for getting someone to change. So you have to find the right way within the culture to communicate what is often some very difficult information. And guess what? Usually the HR leader knows the problem. They know their name, address, and serial number. But they're not going to tell you right off the bat, okay? But you could look at them, and they'll kind of nod at the right time, okay? So you learn how to decode that. But that's what makes it difficult, because really what we want to say, and what we can almost always say when we get a leadership team together, is if we just handed out mirrors, we could stop right there. You get my point? Okay, because it's right there when they hold that mirror up. There's something that leaders need to change in terms of the way they're leading, myself included. There's always something I need to be working on. The key is I need to know what it is. And it usually comes up in the survey. This thing that I need to change. So how do you create an environment where you can have that conversation and begin to get people willing to do that? We use the data. So what we try and do is have the executives come together and we put the slide up. And we work very hard on that slide. There's like 2 or 3, we call them the killer slides. They're the ones that have the information on them. And we put it up, and we normally put it up, and this is what we do. We just let the slide work. And then they go, Michael, anything to say? They're like, you see those lines going like that? Okay, because it speaks for itself. And then somebody goes, wow, I'm shocked. Well, it's not that bad. I'm shocked. This is what begins to happen. Well, what about other companies? I don't care about other companies. And now it's beginning to work. It's beginning to happen. You just let the data speak for itself. We don't have to say a thing when this intervention is going well. So that's what we try and do. And then once that happens, we can give a few recommendations that are very specific and targeted to help that group begin to make the change that's needed. And yesterday, I had a moment that maybe you have had that I just want to share because maybe it'll help and it'll also let you know I'm just like all of you, leading a business and trying to get better and better and better at that business. So I was here at the, what was it called? The Rattlesnake Inn? The Rattle Inn, right? The Rattle Inn. Any of you at the Rattle Inn yesterday? Okay. Music was good. Weather was great. I get an email. It starts off with, Mike, we have a small problem. Now I know what that means. Okay? So then I read it with a customer. Not good. I don't mean not good. I mean not good. You know those kind of emails? You only get a couple of those a year, the kind I'm talking about. So you're looking at it and you don't know exactly what to do. But it affects the mood at the Rattle Inn. All right? So now, my feelings are starting to come up. I'm starting to have feelings. You know what I'm saying? All right? So I'm a little upset. I'm a little tense. I'm thinking about my financial goals and targets for the business. All these things we're about to do. All these things we've said. It's all coming up. Do you know this feeling? And then people are walking by me. Hi, Mike, how are things? Great. Because it's got to be great, right? You know the feeling I'm talking about? Well, here's where I am. And then I'm like, how did this happen? Okay, I'm kind of in hunting mode now. I'm not being the great leader in this moment. My feelings are running me now. And so I'm thinking about, how did it happen? You know, because I don't know what else to do because my feelings are taking over. And so I make a phone call and, start to listen on the phone call. And I'm talking and I'm reasonably aware of my tone and things like that. So I'm doing a decent job. And then I said to the woman, a remarkable woman, her name is Chinwe, that I'm talking to. And I said, Chinwe, this isn't good. She goes, no, Michael, it's not good. I said, this is really not good. She should have said, you don't have to repeat yourself. But she didn't. Okay? She just said, no, it's not good. I said, okay. So then I hung up, went through the evening, the Rattle Inn, and I walked from the Rattle Inn back to the hotel with my chief marketing officer. And we walked back. We talked about the business issue for about a minute and then talked about my son and some things that were going on in her life outside of work. I got back, and it took me until, so that's like 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock to finally write an email to my team to tell my team how great they were, particularly the leader who said he dropped the ball. I wrote an email saying, look, this was 7 months of work. This particular customer has 280,000 employees. This is a big project. It's a lot of work. And he lost his mother-in-law like 10 days ago. And when you lose your mother-in-law, you got your wife. In his case, take care of her. You got the mother-in-law. You got the father-in-law, older. And you got tons of data to sort through. It's a complicated life. So I thought about that. And then all of a sudden, this guy became more remarkable. That while he went through that personal experience, he kept working and doing the best he could to serve our client, which made him more remarkable to me in that moment. So as I was writing, I became more impressed with this guy. And so I told him that. How remarkable it was what he did. His motivation was correct. His intent was correct. And he was handling something heavy, which we've all been through, which is the death of somebody in our family and taking care of somebody who's, lost their mother. So I put all that in the email and I sent that. Now, what got me there? And then I called Chinwe, which is, it's midnight here, so it's 10 for her at night. Chinwe, how's it going? Michael, I've had better days. I know, and we talked about it. So then, after that, then other people who are here today are on that email trail. They start chiming in. We all dropped the ball. No one drops the ball. One after another, this is the emails, and this is how it comes together. This is how the team came together. We just got stronger while the Giants beat the Cubs. But we got stronger through this time, not weaker. Now, my feelings, if I had managed based on my feelings, I wouldn't have done any of that. My feelings are not useful in terms of leading. They are not useful. The thing that got me back was two things. One, I want to be respected as a leader. I want to be a fair leader. And I want to be a credible leader. I really want to be these things. That's what got me back on the right trail. And then what do I do? How did I know what to do? Our first value, we have 5, is care. For about 3 months, it was we care. We dropped the we because we decided it was more powerful, care. And we have 5 expressions of what it means to care. And if you read those, you know what to do in the situation. You take care of that person is what you do. Because we're in this for the long run. People are going to make mistakes. That's what got me right. And for me, when I read our values and I see the word care, that's the first one at the top of the page, I always go care the most. I have to care the most. That's just my feeling. I'm kind of competitive like that. Okay, I'm crazy. I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm like, I got to care the most. That's what got me there. So I'm not proud of the story because it reveals my feelings and that they came up. I'd rather stand here and say I didn't have those feelings and I just was this great leader. That's not what happened. As a matter of fact, I had 2 ice cream sundaes. Okay, that helped me get through it as well. Okay, because that's magic for me. It's like the high fudge sundae. I got the first one. Before I started, I was like, I'll take another. It was a twofer, last night to get me from point A to point B. But I just wanted to share that so I'm practicing too. It's easier for me because I drink the Kool-Aid every day. It's all your Kool-Aid. because I read about scores, data, reports, analysis every single day. I'm steeped in it. So therefore, it's easier for me to get through that cycle. And I'm very lucky about that. When you start on this journey of becoming a high trust culture, most people stay on the journey, so the future's bright. That's why this woman has shades on. The future is bright. People get better and better. The only thing harder than making one of our lists is staying on the list. So that's like the downer. Just have an extra drink tonight, okay? Because everybody works harder. Everybody ups their game. It just happens. It happens. And so it's like, oh, it's out of control. So, but it's a good thing for all the people who work for you. And there's a safety net. We can't ignore, because of living in the greatest nation in the world, the nation that does the more for most in the world. And at a time like this where our leadership is, it hasn't been like this probably in 50 years or so, where on the surface and in the air is like a lot of not good things. I don't think there's been a time in my lifetime where I have friends who teach at elementary school. They don't let the kids watch as a civics lesson the presidential debates. Whereas when I was a kid, I had to watch them. Now they're like, they don't know what's going to happen. Our presidential debates have become R-rated, maybe borderline X. It's a crazy time. Let's just face it. But there is a safety net. And to me, it's the United States of America. It is the safety net that we're in this crazy situation, but we've been in many, many, many crazy situations. And I am not like a patriotic person, meaning I don't run around waving the flag. But this is what I absolutely believe. This is what I tell my sons, who are 27 and 25. When they go, Dad, this is out of control. I'm like, oh, it's completely out of control, but it'll be okay. I absolutely know it's going to be okay. As a matter of fact, it's going to be better. Because while some people are disrespectful, people are talking about how they really feel. In the long run, this is how you build trust. This is what I believe. Now, at some point, we'll get back to the leaders of our country being about these things. And that's how we're going to be back on the path towards America becoming, it's already great, but much greater. Because it'll be built on trust. We're a little off right now. I think the TI score for the US is like 8. Okay, it ain't 88. It's like 8. Okay, it's a single digit number. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you haven't taken the TI survey. Okay, it's a single digit. That's not good. Okay, put it that way. But it will change. So our thing is to make it a great place to work for everybody, including this person. And we actually survey people like this. I didn't just drop this in. We do surveys in interesting places around the world. And I can tell you for a fact, people like this say this is a great place to work when they're respected, treated fairly, and have a manager that's credible. I have the data to prove it. Absolutely data to prove it, including people who have ping pong tables, massages at work, will say it's a terrible place to work. Free food, massages, ping pong tables, drop your pet off, free daycare, and we'll say it's a terrible place to work. While this person's saying it's a great place to work. It has to do with the people that they work for. It has everything to do with the people that they work for. It's that important. We want it to be a great place to work for everybody, including these workers. They work on rooftops in Singapore over 132 degrees Fahrenheit. People like this, some of the people from companies in this room, people like this. We have somebody on our list, the Container Store, also here in Texas. It gets to be 120, 40 feet up in their warehouse. 9 out of 10 say it's a great place to work. So it's not all about that in those conditions and the ping pong tables and the perks. It's about how you treat people. That's really what it's about. We want it to be a great place to work for these 2 young people hugging inappropriately at work. Okay. We'll do a little counseling and some one-on-one mentoring. around the sides, but we want it to be great for them too. We want it to be great for these people, just expressing their pride. And I love this photo where these two women are at work doing the best thing you can do in your life, which is laugh. This is enjoying the people that you work with. This is the thing we measure with about 19 questions. Not only is this good for these women physically, it's good for them emotionally and spiritually, and builds trust. Absolutely love this photo. I hope you'll keep it in mind. Congratulations to the winners, the people who are on the list. Some of you I'll see tonight. Some of you are like here, I've met you, and you're like, I've never done the survey. I don't know if I want to do the survey. I'm like, get off the bench and get in the trust game. Get in the game, okay? We hope that you'll get started. Talk to some people here. It's not going to do anything but help your business. There's nobody here who will, if there's somebody here who's like, yeah, we try to improve trust, and we started focusing on thanking people and listening to people, and it wrecked our business. Come up here, and then everybody can come talk to that person. And that person is just a depressed person. I'll be here to help them as well. But that's not the way it works. Your business gets better when you begin this. We want to create a great place to work for all. The world needs it now more than ever. Thanks very much. Have a good time.
Thank you. It doesn't get better than that. Can I get one more round of applause for Michael C. Bush? After listening to Michael talk, after listening to all of the speakers that we've had today, after hearing the individual conversations that we've had and I've been able to sort of sneak and be a part of, all of the follow-up, all of the lead up to this day, I'm extremely humbled because we are, in the words of people getting married, we are all gathered here, right? And we're sometimes I've heard it be said that we're speaking to the choir, right? We're preaching to the choir. And we know the power of this work. And it's part of our job and responsibility to sort of take that forward, right? So I want to just thank each and every one of you for taking the time, taking the effort, smiling, laughing when it's appropriate, laughing when it's inappropriate, meeting someone new. I saw a lot of people having conversations with companies that I'm on one side of the U.S., they're on the other side of the U.S. This is a very special moment, right? This is a very special place. I couldn't think of a better place for us to do it this year. So I would love to just give you all a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause for taking on this work. I'd also like for us to take just a moment to acknowledge the speakers, right, who shared their perspective, as Michael was vulnerable, right, told us that story about what it was like to send that email, and some of us may have been on the receiving end of that email. We won't name names, but you never know, right, who those people are. But those speakers who stood in front of us today, we want to thank you for just allowing us into your perspective, into your world. So if we can give them a round of applause, I'd appreciate that. We can't do this without our sponsors, Cirrus Logic, 4Imprint, Peckham, and also Whole Foods Market. Give them a round of applause. We are in the mode of continuous improvement. If we follow anything that Michael says, even if you were to get that email, you know immediately that you have some continuous improvement to do. So in that spirit, we're going to be sending out that post-conference survey, right? And we really, really, really value that input, okay? So when it comes through, you might be dealing with the fire of your own. You might have just gotten one of those, this is not good emails. But just take a few moments and send that information back to us because we really, really value that. And it informs us in the work that we do on a year-over-year basis. And if you do submit that, you actually are entered in that raffle to win a entrance into our 2017 conference in Chicago, all right? And that's fun. That's going to be fun. Has anyone been to the national conference, the one that we do annually? If you please just clap if you've been there. All right. That's not a smattering of clapping. That's pretty good. That's a good number. So we want to see if we can bring all of you all out for that conference because it's exciting. It's sort of like this, I heard it called this on steroids. 1,200 leaders of organizations, 4 tracks of information, learning and networking, and it's over approximately 3 days with a site visit on the front end, and then 2 full days of workshops and networking and information gathering. So we want you to join us with that. For those of us who are celebrating with us tonight, we're going to have an amazing gala, all right? We're going to do the list reveal of the 2016 Small and Medium Workplaces tonight at the Bullitt, Texas State History Museum. As you can see on the screen next to me, the buses will be departing at 5:45, all right? So do what you need to do, meet downstairs by 5:45, and then you can jump on the bus. Cocktail reception starts at 6. And then we're going to have dinner at 7:30, and the awards will start promptly at 8:30. All right, it should be fun. We did it in Seattle last year. We had a ball. It was amazing. This year, I think it's only going to be better, and we're really looking forward to sharing that time with you all. And on behalf of our full Great Place to Work staff, I know there's folks, it takes a village to make this thing happen. I'm honored that I was, asked to host an MC to this conference, but we're looking forward to seeing you really in Chicago. It's really an opportunity to connect with those 100 best winners and folks of all sizes. And if you're an early bird that gets the worm, we have early bird specials right now. So if you were to go online right now and register for the conference, you get that early bird special. You might save a few bucks, and you might be able to bring another person along. So I guess this is the end of this portion of our program. Like I said before, I thank you all so much on behalf of Great Place to Work, our staff, the folks who couldn't be here with us this time. We thank you. We wish you safe travels if you're not going to join us this evening, but we also want to celebrate with the ones who are. So get your dancing shoes ready. We're going to have a great time. All right? Thank you.